Have you ever felt like you were completely alone, only to realize that something or someone was watching over you? A presence unseen but deeply felt? I never truly believed in angelic encounters until that night, the night that changed everything. It was a cold winter evening, and I was driving home after a long day. The road ahead stretched endlessly, shrouded in darkness, with nothing but towering trees on either side. The night was eerily quiet, and the only sounds were the rhythmic hum of my car's engine and the occasional rustling of leaves in the wind. There were no streetlights, no other cars, no signs of life, just me and the vast emptiness of the road. I was exhausted. My eyes felt heavy, and fatigue clung to me like a thick fog. I turned up the music to keep myself awake, but my body was fighting to stay alert. The clock on the dashboard read 12:03 a.m. Just a little further, I told myself, but deep down, I knew I was pushing myself too far. And then it happened. In the blink of an eye, my car suddenly lost control. One moment, I was cruising down the road. The next, I was skidding wildly to the right. The steering wheel locked up in my hands, refusing to turn. My tires screeched against the pavement, and sheer panic surged through me. In front of me, just a few feet away, stood a massive oak tree. It was too late to stop. My car was going to crash. I knew I had no control. My hands were gripping the wheel. My foot was desperately pressing the brakes, but nothing was working. At that moment, as my heart pounded against my chest, I did the only thing I could. I cried out, "God, please help me." And then something incredible happened. Out of nowhere, I saw a figure on the side of the road. It was unlike anything I had ever seen before. Dressed in white, glowing softly, the figure stood perfectly still, yet its presence radiated a peace so overwhelming, so powerful, that my fear began to melt away. The figure lifted a hand, calm, steady, deliberate, as if signaling me to let go. And in that moment, time itself seemed to slow. As my car neared the tree, something unexplainable occurred. The steering wheel, which had been locked in place, suddenly moved on its own. My tires, which had been sliding uncontrollably, found their grip. My car, which had been veering straight into the tree, swerved back on the road as if guided by an unseen force. It was as if an invisible hand had taken over. Then, just as quickly as it began, everything stopped. My car rolled safely to a halt on the side of the road. My hands were shaking, my breath coming in short gasps. My heart pounded so hard I thought it might burst from my chest. I turned my head, searching for the figure I had seen just moments before. But it was gone. There was no one there. Just the dark, empty road stretching behind me. My mind raced, trying to make sense of what had just happened. Had I imagined it? Was it exhaustion playing tricks on me? But no, I had seen it. I had felt it. That presence was real. I sat there for what felt like hours, trying to process everything. My body trembled from shock, but in my spirit, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Peace. A deep, undeniable realization washed over me. I should have crashed. I should have been badly injured, or worse. But I wasn't. I was completely unharmed. At that moment, I remembered a verse from Psalm 91, verse 11. For he will command his angels concerning you, guard you in all your ways. Tears filled my eyes as the truth settled in. I had been saved, not by luck, not by coincidence, but by the divine hand of God. There was no other explanation. That figure, whether an angel, the Holy Spirit, or God himself, had stepped in and protected me. I couldn't stop thinking about what could have happened if that angel hadn't been there. Would my family have received a phone call that night? Would my life have ended in an instant? The reality is, I shouldn't be here. But God had other plans. Since that night, I've carried the story with me, knowing that I was given a second chance. And if God could intervene in my darkest moment, I know he can do the same for you. If you've ever had an encounter like this, a moment where you knew God was with you, I invite you to share your testimony. Your story might just be what someone else needs to hear. And if you've never had an experience like this, know that God is always watching over you, even when you don't see it. He is near. He is real. And sometimes, when we least expect it, heaven reaches down to save us.